Now, this isn't a Bash Britain video, but the fact is almost 500,000 Brits moved abroad in 2023 alone. And it's not just retirees, it's people in their 20s and 30s asking themselves, why am I working so much just to feel stuck and miserable? UK prices soared 20.6% in just 3 years. Food alone up 30.6%, and that's more than the last 13 years combined. Rents hit record highs, mortgages are painful, and 91% of Brits say the cost of living keeps rising. So more of us than ever are asking the exact same question. Is there a better life out there somewhere? And so in today's video, I'm going to be going through the top 10 new reasons why Brits are leaving, and why the decision might not be reckless, but actually smarter. Hey mate, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Sam, a British expat documenting my journey of escaping the UK and creating a better life in Australia. Now, despite the fact that I'm married to an Aussie, moved to Australia, and I absolutely love it here, I won't be running the UK's name through the mud. I'm very proud to be British, I'm very proud of my country, and I love it there. So the first reason is most Brits now want a lifestyle upgrade. As a Gen Z British person, I was still very much brought up in the mindset in the UK that it's work, work, work until you're pushing 70 now, years old, and that's when you can finally retire and have some fun. Other than that, you get a 2-week summer holiday somewhere like Spain, and those are the best 2 weeks of the year. But I think with the rise of social media, now you can basically connect with anyone from any lifestyle, from any culture. We're seeing more than ever now online that actually, it's not that expensive to go to some places. I know it's stereotypical, but like Thailand, and live a much better quality of lifestyle. And we're also seeing the rise in online jobs and online businesses. I always thought they were a bit of a scam. And then the end of 2019 hit me hard. I was absolutely broke. I was struggling at my acting and voice acting career. And I was like, right, I actually need to make some money. And that's where I found freelance video editing. And this has given me the freedom to live literally anywhere in the world. So with all the influencers out there now telling us how we can make money online and move to a better, warmer, more chilled out country, it really gets in your head as a Brit, because it is quite dark and cold in the UK. Starting afresh in a different country can really help. And I didn't really believe this way of thinking in life. I thought it was a very lazy way of thinking. But in 2019, I booked an acting job in Japan, working for Universal Studios Japan, which I was chuffed about. And honestly, I wasn't living a very good quality of life in London. I had a drinking problem. I was very much single, and I didn't really like myself as a person. And when I got there, because I was starting afresh and I was in a whole new place and culture, making new friends, I thought, right, I can reinvent myself here. So I quit drinking immediately. Next, I ended up finding the love of my life, who's an Australian woman that I later married. Thirdly, I was making lots of money from doing my dream career, which is acting. And fourthly, I was learning so much about a new culture. I was making Japanese friends. It was such an awesome environment to be. So Brits are starting to catch on to all these ideas, and they're starting to move. Number 2 is the cost of living is starting to outpace wages. And I know this is like tale as old as time, but it's getting really expensive to live in the UK now. It really hit me hard when I moved back to London with my wife, and we were renting the teeniest one bed you've ever seen for £1,350 a month. We also started job hunting when we got there, and we very quickly realised that a lot of these jobs would only pay us enough money to just get by paying our rent and council tax and bills. We wouldn't have a single penny left over. And that's when my wife and I turned around to each other and was like, we can't do that. We have to start our own businesses. We have to start thinking a bit more American, a bit more entrepreneurial. And so my wife made her own singing teaching business, and I go and make my own video editing business. We were making more than a lot of these minimum wage jobs that we were hoping to get would pay us. It still didn't help the fact that we were living in an overpriced city that wasn't very safe, and we had black mold and mice in our apartment. So we thought, right, moving to Australia.
How do you like Australia, mate? I love it!
Also, if you're enjoying this, could you do me a favor and just hit the like button? It really helps to support my channel and bring even more value. Thank you. Number 3 is weather fatigue. this is a real thing. And often in the UK, most of us Brits suffer from seasonal affective disorder, which is basically when you're getting a lack of sunlight, a lack of vitamin D. It is very mentally draining, even if physically you're supplementing your body with vitamin D. This many Brits are vitamin D deficient, which is quite shocking, and it really puts into perspective how dark and grey our weather can be. It's not just a stereotype, it actually is that grey. That's why Brits love going to Benidorm on holiday. That's why Brits love going to the south of France where it's a bit sunnier in the summer. And that is why lots of Brits are finally moving the country. Even my auntie and uncle, who are in their 60s, they decided to get away and move to Spain because not only could they sell their house for so much money, that even though it was a very modest house, but they could buy a much bigger house in Spain with a gorgeous pool. It's got like a second little house on the property, and they're absolutely loving it because the sun is always out, they're getting vitamin D, they're feeling good, and lots of Brits now, whether they're old or young, are moving to different countries so they can get some better weather. Number 4 is that there's more remote work, which equals more freedom. 50, 60, 70 years ago, leaving your home country would mean you would have to leave your job. But now, whatever route you want to go down, digital nomad, business owner, or even still a 9-to-5 employee, you can work remotely. Plus, it's never been easier to start working remotely and creating some sort of online business. I created a video all about how I scaled my freelance video editing business solo to $3,000 a month, and you can go watch that video up there. It's very realistic now to find some sort of YouTube video or online course that only costs like $50, and within a couple of months you've scaled a whole freelance business. Yes, it did take me working 10-hour days for quite a few months, but in my opinion it was completely worth it for the freedom I now have. Number 5, quality of life priorities are changing for Brits. Now the UK has plenty to offer, but if you've been living there your whole entire life like me, the novelty of your home country does unfortunately wear off. As a tourist, visiting London or my home county of Gloucestershire is absolutely charming and it's a great time. But when you've been born and raised there, you do start looking for a bit more adventure. Plus the UK has a very fast-paced work culture. We are very work-driven and yet we don't get paid that much for it. I often see videos online of Americans reacting to some of our salaries and they get paid often hundreds of thousands of pounds more than we do for the exact same job. So a bit like I felt living in London in that 9-to-5 hustle culture, Brits are getting tired. They don't want to be a part of it now, and we're seeing people online live much more chilled out lifestyles, and sadly it's kind of etched into our DNA as Brits that we must keep working. I think that is very much there in us. But being in a culture where they're not as work hungry kind of gives us the validation to sit back just a little bit more. Also guys, just thought I'd mention that I was looking at my analytics today and I noticed that over 98% of you who regularly watch my videos aren't yet subscribed. So if you find this video helpful, then hit that subscribe button. It really helps to support my channel. Thank you. Number 6 are the housing costs are insane. Saving on 2 cups of coffee and 2 avocados a week are not going to help you afford the cost of a £700,000 house. The housing prices are crazy. I'm no economist obviously, but my guess would be we're on a very little island with almost 70 million people, is it? Here's my correction. So all generations in the UK are starting to realise that they can get more bang for their buck on a property to live in for the rest of their days in a different country who will happily welcome them and won't charge them an arm and a leg. Number 7 is the UK still has brilliant opportunities, but so do other places. I know people in the UK who have moved to like America or in Australia because they've booked a really big job with a big company and it's way better than anything that they could have got in the UK at that current time in their life. So people want that growth, especially Brits. We want to grow, but we're kind of held back by the tall poppy syndrome, like be reserved, be polite, be respectful, don't speak too loud. Some of the values you sort of learn as a British person. And some people who actually do it and take action, they're actually booking these jobs. They are finding their dream partner in a different country. The UK is a great place. I had a really good high school education, went to uni and got my acting degree, but then I thought I'd experience the world a bit more and it's completely changed the way I look at just life in general. Now, if you're serious about escaping the UK and maybe moving somewhere like Australia like I did, then you're absolutely going to love my free weekly newsletter. It's only a 3-minute read, there's absolutely no fluff, and I just give you the practical tips and advice and a few life updates of how you can escape the UK for a better life in Australia. So you can subscribe using the link in the description below in one click. Number 8 is more people are doing it, so it feels easier to. Kind of like how we've been saying. In the UK, it is very ensemble energy. You don't want to get too big for your boots or be too brave or do something too out of the ordinary because you know people are going to drag you back down. But because Brits are starting to move away more and you're like, maybe I could do it, you see more and more people do it and it gives you that confidence. Number 9 is travel is more accessible than ever. It's so much easier to get a flight to any city in the world now within a few clicks on Google. Not to mention visas in certain places, not all places, are getting more flexible and give you more opportunities in that country, and expat communities in that country are growing more than ever. There are so many British people in Australia. There are so many British communities in Australia. What I find quite interesting is how they gravitate towards each other. I really try and get out there and make friends with lots of Aussies because, you know, I'm in Australia. I want to get involved with the culture and, you know, assimilate and all of that. Whether you're looking to make loads of friends in that culture or to just meet people who are British, you can do that in that country. I know that's going to trigger some people because they're going to be like, you come into our country and you don't even make friends with us, you just stick to yourselves. But basically, the barriers that are used to keeping people away from traveling and moving abroad, they're starting to raise. Weird analogy. And number 10, for a lot of Brits, it's not saying goodbye to the UK forever. It's saying hello to the adventure of new opportunities. Although there were some very dark days I had in the UK, I don't hate it at all. I love the UK and I miss it dearly. So it's not as simple as Brits hate the UK, so they want to move permanently to a different country. No, it's kind of like, well, we've been born and raised in the same tiny island that's quite grey and rainy, so why not adventure out there? Why not try a new country to live in, even if it's just for a year? And that's the brilliant thing about moving abroad. Often it's temporary. Often you might just move for a few years and then decide as you get a bit older, oh, the UK is actually not so bad. I'm going to move back there now, be closer to my family. And I'm fully aware of the privilege of the lack of responsibility I have. If I needed to look after my parents or I had kids, maybe my wife and I wouldn't be living here right now. Maybe we'd think the UK would be better for us to be in. But because we're young and healthy and we don't have any children yet, thank goodness, Australia seems like the perfect place. But if you're curious about the really brutally honest reasons I left the UK to move to Australia, then go watch this video here where I explain it all. But don't click away yet. If you made it this far, then consider hitting that subscribe button. It really helps to support my channel and bring you even better videos. Thanks for watching this far. Have a lovely day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.